It's a great, great day.
Uh-huh. It's a good day.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's right. Welcome back, risers and thrivers. Boy, am I excited to be back. That's right, Peter. So I missed seeing all of you 2 weeks ago. I think you all know I've had a rough couple of weeks with COVID. My Instagram account was hacked. Gosh, co-parenting matters. I mean, you name it. It's been a tough couple of weeks. So boy, am I ever happy to be back recording with you all today. And so happy to have you here. We hope you loved our last show with amazing Gentry, who really shared her raw and open journey as a single mom facing an alcohol addiction and how she overcame that and how she now thrives. It was a really inspirational show. If you missed that one, please download. The shows are available for download on any and all of your favorite streaming platforms, and as always on risetoday.com. Today, boy, do we have a show for you today. So Peter Twist is an exercise physiologist. He's an incredible health advocate. He's such an inspiration in our local health community here in Vancouver and wide and far all over the world. He has literally published and serves as an author of literally a million amazing courses and publications, books, and everything to help inspire our community to live their healthiest health status. Now, Peter, at the age of 47, in his most top-notch physical form, was diagnosed with what proved to be a very aggressive stage 4 cancer. It was in his brain, in his chest, in his neck. He'll tell us more about it and the journey he's gone through today to be this amazing, resilient, inspirational warrior standing here before us. And Peter, thank you. Thank you for being here with us on the show. We're so happy to have you with us.
Well, you're most welcome. It's my pleasure to join you. And I thought we were just going to be all hyped up the whole show and not talk the intro. But, we could do that all day. And that's a big part of how we gain energy and feed our spirit and uplift ourselves and gain strength from movements and dance and things like that. So great way to start out, and great for you for hosting this podcast and so many great episodes that have the commonalities for people going through challenge and difficulty. You've helped so many through this. So thanks for all you do.
That means a lot, Peter. And this show is important to me too, for a lot of reasons. You and I share a lot of similarities in our path, and both being really strong health advocates and both living, our so-called best lives before cancer, and both really at top-notch physical health, and both succumbing to really terrible diagnoses, completely unexpected. And today marks actually a special day for me because it's actually my 4,000 bonus day mark today, which is a huge day, right? 4,000 bonus days from hearing the words of a terminal cancer prognosis in 2012 and being denied all further medical care aside from palliative care. So you've got it. Like, it is in me now, breathing through the lungs of another, and with the bone marrow of another flowing through all parts of me. It's in me to give back and to create this platform to share these stories, to help others attain the same success that you and I have achieved, and to stay the course through hard days. And
absolutely. Yes.
It's a really special day. So tell me, Peter, take me back to your previous life. Let's say there's always like a division, right? Before cancer and after cancer. Describe a little bit for me about your previous life.
Well, my previous life, it's interesting, and with you referencing cancer and, wanting to anchor our conversation into that, people suggest I trained for that my whole life. And so my life before that was based on, building strength and challenging myself and requiring a lot of endurance and resiliency and things like that. So all kinds of things, from growing up as a multi-sport athlete where you're training for and competing for excellence. But of course, in sport, you lose a lot of games. You win a lot of games. You have championships. You have devastations. As a coach, I was with the honor to be with Vancouver Canucks when we lost in Game 7 to New York. Trevor Linden dinged the goalpost, and it was right there. And so sometimes setbacks and challenges are devastating like cancer and stage 4 cancer and your worst, but challenges are also our aspirational goals. You know, if we have high goals, they're very difficult to achieve, plus there's setbacks and failure on the way. So part of my athletic career really set me up for that. You know, I'm playing hockey with two separated shoulders and a broken nose, and you're strapped in and you're out there. You know, you're finding a way to get it done. My life before was quite a dichotomy to when you flip the switch and suddenly get a diagnosis. The succinct part was, you know, had coached in the NHL for 11 years and then started my own high performance athlete camps. Then I set up a facility. Then I franchised into 4 countries, 12 gyms, wrote education courses, had those taught around the world, partnered with Under Armour on this giant like direct business partnership as their global education partner. It was a multi 7-figure a year deal, plus it scaled positive impact. We were manufacturing about 1,000 product SKUs for training, selling those around the world. So everything was successful, but it was like being on a rocket ship or a high-speed bullet train. Things were happening. They were in forward motion. We're making positive impact everywhere, setting up good business around it. And myself, in my relationship, my children, where I lived in Horseshoe Bay, right by White Cliff Park. For those listening to the podcast that don't know Vancouver, you've got ocean, rainforest, mountains. It's just such a positive environment. And so myself, I was also felt I was the strongest, fittest I'd yet been in my life. I'm sure I should never say ever been, but yet been. but at that stage, I truly was. And interestingly, for a 5-year period, I had a gut instinct. My body was speaking to me, saying, "I think I have cancer."
Wow.
And so I brought that in 2 or 3 times a year to various medical doctors, dentists, chiropractor, MD, family doctors, etc. And of course, they ask how you're doing, and I'm like, "I feel great," you know. But I look. You know, I look, even medical doctors are biased by appearance. I was just strong, fit, lean at that time. So, and I didn't sound sick. But I really, really felt I had cancer. I was very concerned. I got denied about over 20 times, misdiagnosed for 5 years.
So you're trying to advocate for yourself. You know something internally is off. You
still knocking on the door, asking, saying.
Wow.
And then finally, it got so advanced that it was determined. But at that point, my life before, I described that. So right when I was diagnosed, then you'll literally, now it's 5 years too late. It's stage 4. My first oncologist starts talking about palliative care. And, you know, we go from there and we flip the switch and everything is 100% different, including my personal identity, you know, which is a difficult transition. But everything before stopped, and then boom, you're stepping into an immediate battle.
So pause for a second. How did you feel in that moment?
The moment of that it was finally diagnosed.
That your world changes in a heartbeat. Yeah. And that you know.
Well, number one, it felt so unnecessary. When it was finally, someone was willing to take a look at me. It was an ear, nose, and throat specialist, putting a scope down one nostril, and he hit something large, and he said, "You know, there's something big there. I've done this a long time. We'll get it tested, but it's cancer. It's been there a long time." It was a 45-second test. Erica, that's all it took. I've got a buddy, he was the strength and conditioning coach with Chicago Blackhawks. I just met him up at Whistler for dinner. He was in skiing with his son, but he's a medical doctor. He's moved to Seattle. He headed up their COVID response there. And he was coaching in the NHL and heading up the emergency room in a hospital in Chicago at the same time. He slept about 45 minutes a day. Good Renaissance man. But he said, everybody that comes into his emergency room, no matter what it's for, you could have sprained your ankle. It could be anything. He scopes. He said it takes 60 seconds. I take a couple quick looks, and he's found and diagnosed so many things from that simple practice. So you asked me how I felt. I was pissed off, and I was angry, scared, of course, and at times feeling hopeless. But I mostly, number one, I needed to shift into my battle mode. I always thought if I got diagnosed with something like cancer, I would hike in the mountains and snowshoe and meditate my way through it, and natural health and so on, and food as medicine, which if it was stage one, I would probably try that. But that wasn't the case. I needed to battle, throw the bombs in there, let's go. So how I felt was I needed to switch into battle mode immediately. And alongside that, of course, I was respectful and gracious and appreciative of all the doctors and nurses, oncologists, but I was angry. I said, this is not my time. This is a mistake. This is not my time to go graciously. So I'm going to go in and battle. And if I can please add on to that, because I know in intense medical diagnoses and things like advanced cancer and many other challenges people could face to that level for health and so on, there's a mourning process and a grieving process through that, and it takes people a while, and they're actually counseled in the medical system in that trauma model, to go through your grieving and go through a process. By the time you're ready to fight, a lot of them have already lost their life, or it's too late to get ahead of it. So my mindset and my feeling was I just flipped the switch into it. Like, I'm in this right now, 24 hours a day, I'm on it. And sort of that was my mode.
Yeah, I hear that. I found a really hard time because I had lived this life passionate about health and wellness. I spoke and I advocated all over the world in terms of how people could live their healthiest lives, just like you did. And then at 35 years young, I'm diagnosed with what proved to be this crazy aggressive version of cancer. How could it be? I questioned myself so many times over. What did I do so wrong? Like, did I exercise too much? Was I eating too many fruit and vegetables? What did I do so wrong? I really wanted to know, but it forced me to go inward, that curiosity, I think, because I do take accountability, and accountability does not equal fault, right? It's not my fault I have cancer, but we can all take a good hard look at our environment and decide what needs to be changed. And that, to me, is what you describe as this battle mode, right? And really taking that responsibility, accountability to look around that environment, because, as we all know, we can't heal in the same environment that made us sick. But if we don't take that accountability and really isolate those reasons that we can maximize and change in our lives, then I think we hand over some of our success to cancer by doing so, right? By not doing so, I should say. So that battlefield for me, and I had felt so plummeted by literally like serving as this advocate for health, and then at such a young age for this fire-breathing dragon of cancer to just come in out of nowhere. I was like, gosh, what did I do so wrong? I doubted everything at first, everything that I knew to be true. But then in time, it came to me too, as like you said, you trained your whole life for cancer. And I feel like my healthy life choices before and during, really helped me survive and defy all the odds, right? But at first, it really made me question everything and really wonder what I needed to change. But through time and through that internal awareness and mindfulness, those answers really came true. And for me, it was more about changing not so much my food choices, but really my mind, and going inwards and really focusing on that. But I'll be intrigued to hear how you navigated everything. I apologize. Continue.
No, it's good. I would love to ask questions and listen to your story, and myself and everyone can benefit from that. Absolutely. So please collaborate on the conversation. It's excellent for me and your viewers and listeners. But you're right on there. Number one, congratulations. You said your 4,000th day, correct?
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
4,000 bonus days today. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a good number. It's such an honor to be here with you on that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're celebrating in that way. And, I like to say, although I think a lot of people, it's fair to say, are probably stuck, settling, staying the same or just happy where they are, and they're, scrolling through the days, and they're okay. Um, but I get excited about the process. We can always be in the process of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully who I was in grade 8 is not how I think and my perception of the world today. So whatever my beliefs are, and so I'm personally not a part of any religion, although I'm highly spiritual. I'm not a part of any political party, although I'm interested in all the issues and have a voice towards them, etc., because I want to be free to become and not be locked into anything. So ideally, we speak 10 years from now, and both of us have evolved our mindset, our philosophy, our perception, our beliefs, as well as maybe our lifestyle and how we live and how we show up for other people and ourselves, right? So, with that in mind, of always being in the process of becoming in that growth mindset for ourselves, um, and trying to point that compass in a positive direction, in all ways for ourselves and those we interact with in our world. It's a little bit, upon cancer and squeaking through, and here we are. It's a little bit of, okay, it's a new personal identity, but it's a chance for growth. And so, in a survive to thrive model, people should be proud for surviving this day, whatever their situation is. And it doesn't have to be stage 4 cancer. It can be a marital difficulty. It could be losing their job. It can be financial stress. It could be another health issue. And if someone hasn't had a lot of battles and difficulties, of course, their resiliency is lower, meaning we see it in COVID. Look at how noisy it was and negative toxicity during COVID. To me, that was a social, emotional maturity. How resilient are people? How adaptable are people? Yeah, it kind of sucks in some ways and it's difficult. And I personally suffered a lot of business loss from it because I deal with live humans. But what's our level of resiliency? Are we totally buckled by that? Well, I wasn't buckled by losing multiple businesses. Other people were buckled because they had to wear a mask into the grocery store. Not my first choice. And I'm not saying that in any kind of judgmental way. I'm trying to reference the point of we build resiliency as we go.
And
So
perspective, right?
yeah, and perspective. And so when we can see the lens, through that lens of gratefulness and perspective for this day, it changes how we see everything. So everything changes for us, and etc. So I'm just suggesting big challenges are an important part of building resiliency. So we're ready, can handle bigger difficulties, perhaps more effectively or graciously. We're more adaptable, but it becomes a part of us. So you and I are who we are today. We're not the same person we were before our diagnoses and our battle. And so it's a little bit of, can I surrender to the now and stop living in the past and stop talking about what I used to do and start believing and getting excited about what I can do and what I will do. And there's that reorientation from this current point, and truly trying to take all the things we've been through so that they add strengths for us in living today and get busy creating this chapter.
And the potential, right, to become the best versions of ourselves. Challenge provides us that opportunity to reach that full potential. I couldn't agree more. And I really want to touch base because you were talking a lot about seeing your future self in 10 years, right? And how there would be transformations from now until then. And it just reminded me, I think it was Matthew McConaughey who talked about this, that we all need to have inspirational role models, of course, to look up to, look forward to, right? And of course, having inspirational role models that have navigated through similar things of what we've been through, but most importantly, having ourselves, our future self, as that inspirational role model that we're trying to aspire to be, and using that as the anchor for our transformation, right? And to live that best life and that legacy of no one knows what tomorrow brings, right? I always say, live today how we want to be remembered tomorrow. And I guarantee that propels you to live this rich and beautiful life. But I love how you said, I love how you said that about, your future self and seeing that. And I talk a lot about visualizations. Did you visualize your future self in 10 years?
Did I?
In the face of cancer, like, did you see
Oh,
yourself as successful? How did you see yourself back then? What was the vision that helped pull you through?
the vision that helped pull me through, I did visualize. Well, I did two things to answer the question honestly and accurately, which is the only way.
Thank you.
I received, I had a chemotherapy oncologist who did not want to do chemotherapy because she thought there was no chance. But then there was one radiation oncologist. There was one that wanted to do palliative care. Another one thought that he could treat this effectively and more accurately with radiation as well. And that because this is important about being ready to be your best when your best is needed. We don't get time to train up for this. You and I didn't get diagnosed with cancer and say, now you can train up for this, your mind and body, and we'll come back in 6 months. So whatever the state everyone listening to this is in right now, that's the level that you can fall from. So are you at your highest level? Are you anywhere near it? And if you're nowhere near it, you're going to have more difficulty surviving things. Is your mind strong? Is your body strong? Are you doing the things, all the healthy inputs for yourself to be ready, like an athlete going out for their championship game? Because a challenge will come. We don't need to be stressed out about that. We can do all those things and it affects our life positively. And it's a great lifestyle and feeling great. It feels great to feel great. So why not do those things? But the radiation oncologist thought because at that time I happened to be super strong, lean, fit, endurance, mentally tough from all the things I was handling, he thought I had more room to fall so that he could bomb me with highest levels radiation. And naturally that's going to kill the tumors, but it's also killing the healthy tissue around there. And I had my primary tumor was about the size of this baseball. It says, I will. This is from a Under Armour keynote they asked me to do, and we had everyone have this symbolism of this ball you can see and touch and feel and wrap the meaning from the keynote and sign it. I will. They will get strong. They will build themselves up. But this was lodged near the base of my brain and my neck. And because of the area by the brain and face and throat, when they bombed this with radiation, a lot of healthy tissue got destroyed as well. So basically, the treatments are killing you while trying to kill the tumors. That was this program. And then as you're going and going and going, can you still, as you're dropping down, getting beat up by these horrific treatments, can you still survive? Then obviously, if I don't get treatments and I have stage 4 cancer, I'm going to die. So I'm grateful for the treatments. They saved my life. They're so expert, so smart. It's so amazing. But I'm also trying to survive the treatments. The treatments are killing me, right? And I chuckle not out of lightness, just it sounds so ludicrous, but that's the best we have right now. And here we are. So I'm thankful for the BC Cancer Agency. But it, as you're dropping down, and then we've gotten rid of the tumors. Is the patient still alive? That's how it goes. And this is key for people in that, because people say, you crushed cancer. It's like, I didn't crush anything. I won by a thread. I barely hung in there. And so the point, though, of being ready, and you have more room to fall under difficulty and duress and assault to your body and brain or emotions, what have you, is key. So that you're able to stay in there and survive. And then from there, whatever you and I did to survive and then heal, there was so much healing, not from cancer, there was healing from the treatments. And then healing. And then if you're able to do enough things to survive, I try to do 20, 25 meticulous things a day that I thought either helped the chemo radiation beat down the tumor, or that it helped my body be resilient through it.
So
And
when you hit rock bottom in these moments, let's
yeah,
say, what were those things, those 25
yeah.
things? Give me a few of them if you don't mind, maybe your top ones that really helped you to take back your power.
Yes, and I owe you two answers here. I'll try and do it succinctly.
Okay.
Where those 25 things, I thought, they're such a pain in the butt to do some of them. They're so meticulous. I'm so uncomfortable at the time. But even if all 25, get this, really, even if all 25 of them, there's no one thing I'm going to do, like go hug trees and stuff and,
That one thing.
meditate and chant in front of waterfalls, which I did do. And I tried to receive the nature's energy into my body.
I
There's
did the
no,
same.
yeah. There's no one thing that I'm gonna do that game changes surviving cancer. But if I did 25 things, what if they all aggregated to even just a 2% difference? Is that worth the effort? Well, that 2% could be the difference between dying and surviving. And so those were done meticulously. And I was going to say,
I love how you phrase this. I'm going to interrupt for 1 second.
yeah,
That 2% difference could be the difference between surviving and thriving. And in my world, when I had this 2-month terminal prognosis, denied all further medical care, I didn't respond to salvage chemotherapy. I'd already had whole body radiation, denied everything. And that then inspired me. Everything else was off the table, right? I had no choice but to look inwards and really figure out what it was that I could affect change over.
right. You owned that process and tried to come up with that. And what I meant to say there was that 2% is the difference between dying and surviving. So that if they all aggregate to that, but whatever I'm doing and whatever we each came up with as ancillary to our primary treatments to survive, and then we're doing those things and other things to heal and rebuild. If we just keep doing those things, we're going to end up our best ever. Right.
100%.
So not to get stuck with survive and now I'm a victim and now I'm depressed my whole life and feeling begrudged the whole thing, which are natural emotions and thinking that can come in. But then I stopped doing what helped me survive, or I stopped what helped me heal. And then I'm on to like a not as good of a program. But if I keep doing all the things that are winning the day in the toughest times, when you get past that, that's just going to build you up to your best ever, your mindset, your health, your body, everything. So keep going. When you're surviving from something, it's your chance to get on a better program that helps you win, and then just keep going. Don't get off that program.
Winning the day. I love how you
day. Oh yeah.
When you talked about surrendering a while back, right? That was a big part of it. For me, I had to take my focus off the end goal of survival, to be honest. I visualized my future, don't get me wrong, but I had to shift my focus onto winning the day and what I could do to maximize each day, not just to take that 2% potential success and make that the difference between survival and not survival, but to take that 2% difference that these 25 things might do and live another day. And how I would maximize the gift of that one day. And I think by doing so, that's what's turned into these 4,000 bonus days. Taking the focus off what I can't control, and shifting it onto right here, right now. What can I control in my mind, in my body, to maximize the gift of today, no matter my circumstance, no matter facing this 2-month terminal prognosis, right? What is going to facilitate that? And for me, shifting off that notion of focus of survival and putting it onto the power of now, right? How I maximize that power of now, simplified things, but also help me surrender. And I think that gift of surrendering was really powerful on my journey. But I like how you phrased winning the day. I think that was really powerful, winning the day. I like that.
Yeah, and that was really my short-term focus on the visualization. And I didn't do much to visualize my future and future self, except my home is up Indian Arm. For those that don't know the area, it's an inlet with mountains on each side. But to get to my home, it's a boat access place, so it's not as convenient. But wow, the psychology of like pulling up to your dock and unless you're a good swimmer or a kayaker or a stand-up paddler, people aren't coming. I pull up the moat. I'm only saying this jokingly. I used to joke, it's like, what are people upset about COVID and isolation? I actually choose a home so I can isolate from
I
people
love that.
well before COVID. So there's benefits to that. Anyway, I'm just joking. I know there's been
But it helps you.
hardships through
The
COVID.
alone time. The alone time, that's such a key
Yeah,
point,
huge,
right? Because that
huge.
alone time really helps us reflect and grow and find our best path and quiet the noise that's all around.
Yes.
And only when we quiet the noise from all the stress and the chaos can we then really choose our best path ahead.
Yeah, really intuitively and said with wisdom on your side, because sort of purposeful solo time in nature, that's where I did a lot of my emotional healing and my healing of my mind, let's say, to wrap my head around this and get on stepping forward on a good track. And towards that, my visualization was short term, Erica. It was I have two beautiful daughters that beautiful inside and out, and I visualized them on the dock with me, and
Powerful.
my daughters were very young. They're too young to have a father that is checked out of this life chapter, and so I was really fighting. I was fighting for myself. I love life. I want, I would enjoy more life, and I have more service to give and positive impact to make and fun to have. So I do desire those things, but I was primarily, my top goal was to survive for my daughters. And that was my vision of my life. It's just, a few months from now, I want to be here with them and then be healthy for that. The other visualization was even more acute when, if people haven't pictured or seen it before, doing radiation in my case was sort of brain, face, mouth, neck, chest. And because they need to be accurate, you can't be moving around and get some kind of a nervous flinch or scratch your face being itchy. You've got to be super still because they're trying to avoid optical nerves and hit the tumors and minimize collateral damage. So they mold a big mask over your head, face, chest, and it pins you down to a table while the radiation's going. And keep in mind, when I leave the hospital after that radiation, it felt like 10 guys with steel-toed boots kicked me in the head. And so it wasn't pleasant, and it didn't feel great after. What I did, because I knew at that time that the radiation was at its highest as they're shooting that into you, and then it has a residual effect over days. I visualized at that time, in conjunction with the radiation, my own body killing cancer cells. And so I would visualize my body blowing up and eating like an old fashioned Pac-Man and gobbling up cancer cells. And I would also visualize after bright healing light, beautiful, loving, healing, healthy light coming in, swishing around inside my body, restorative healing and health. And I didn't want to step on anyone's toes and put anyone out, which they would not do anyway, but it said, if there's a gap between me and the next patient, say 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if someone doesn't show up, if there's an appointment there, and can you try and schedule me that way in the future, I'll stay longer. They're like, nobody wants to stay here longer doing that. Of course, they stop the radiation treatment at the right time, but can I stay there another 10 minutes and visualize?
Yes.
While the radiation is at its highest, can I join that longer with my own visualization? So that I think that those kind of decisions from your cue on visualization helped out a lot.
Yeah, that's powerful. I was told going into my, we always hold on to the negative things that people say, right? And my radiation oncologist told me to imagine myself with the whole body radiation, that I would be like a piece of steak frying in a fry pan. flipping
Wow.
from side to side, from side to side. And I would go twice daily for this whole body radiation. I was already admitted. So they would just take me down through the tunnels of VGH. And that was hard to overcome during the radiation period. That visualization, I already felt like a piece of steak after salvage chemotherapy and
No
everything.
doubt. No doubt.
And the last thing I wanted to do was picture myself like the piece of steak, because that visualization is equally as powerful, right? If I had seen myself literally frying like this piece of steak, and I really needed to sink into my own mindfulness in that moment and visualize for me, my powerful visualization has always been seeing myself pushing my future grandbabies, no pressure to my kids, but my future grandbabies along the wall and walking along the Dundrave seawall. And I can feel the salt water in the air. I can taste it. I can feel the wind on my face. I can hear the joy of my children. And I'm pushing this little stroller with my future grandbabies. And it's such a powerful force for me, to be honest. But to be able to connect with that, after somebody's really consciously said, hey, you're going to feel like a piece of steak, right? It takes a lot of awareness. It takes a lot of consciousness. It takes a lot of mindfulness. So I really respect that you advocated for yourself to have that extra time to sink into it. Because also with my chemotherapy early on, as a sports chiropractor, I believe in natural healthcare measures. Seeing that chemotherapy, I had a Hickman line and seeing like endless pulls, endless medications dripping into me at once. I saw that as not only killing my cancer, like you talked about, but as killing all of me, as killing all parts of me. And I really received that negatively in the early days of my cancer diagnosis.
For sure.
And I was, working with various healthcare professionals, and, this one woman in particular really helped shift my mindset on that. She's like, Erica, you really need to see this chemotherapy as your sunshine vitamin. Like this is letting you have the sunshine that you want to have, and that was powerful for me. And so I changed the way that I was receiving those gifts that I now call them of the chemotherapy, and I saw that as having this powerful change, just like you saw with the radiation and with yourself busting up your cancer cells, right? I pictured myself under this waterfall. And it was a pink waterfall. Pink is like my favorite color. It was like this pink waterfall of health. And I always imagined myself as standing right under the waterfall, that the water was filling me up, much like you discussed with your light, and this healing energy, healing light. And this healing light would pour right through me. And then out of my hands and my feet would come out black tarry substance in this visualization, and that was all that was all the cancer, that was all everything in my body, the toxicity that had built up that I needed to clear out. But I love that you connected with that. And more importantly, advocated for yourself in those moments with your healthcare team, because that can be really hard to do. But at the end of the day, our doctors, our family, our spouses, our most nearest and dearest loved ones, no one can save us except for ourselves. And whatever you need on this journey, you need to advocate for, just like Peter had the courage to do, because it does take courage. Please schedule me with a bit of a longer session so I can sink into my own, healing regimen, right? And really advocate for yourself. I very, very much admire that. It can be very hard to do.
Well, great. I'm inspired listening to your story, and I'm so glad you did that, because you're here. And those things do add up. And one of the oncologists on my team, and he's an oncologist, a hard science guy. There's probably a lot of things that you and I might believe around holistic health or naturopathic physicians that are part of that umbrella, that he may question the efficacy of those things. And I reference that to put power behind his statement that what he's seen. He said they talked and they thought I had a chance, even though the odds said I didn't have a chance, because of mindset and hope. And he just said he's seen in his, in the practice of trying to help cancer patients survive, that mindset and hope are two such powerful, when really nothing else is different. The person is sort of similar age, similar lifestyle, similar cancer diagnosis and stuff. Why does someone survive and not? And he's certain that those two things play a role. And that speaks to what you did with more formal visualization. And so part of that says, of course, I respect the ultimate expert is my oncologist,
Of course.
and any professional that's in Western medicine. Of course, I'm grateful for their expertise, and oh my God, they show up with so much care. Patient after I'm patient number 100,000, and in their career probably, and they just show up with so much care, as well as high knowledge on there's no one in the entire world that understands the human machine, the body and brain. It's so complex. There's millions of people that understand this computer we're on and our phone and how to make them, how to program them. Nobody fully understands the human body and brain. It's so complex. So for people to disrespect medical professionals that are expert in very complex sciences and how they all interact and cooperate and communicate in the body, because nothing in the body happens alone. We're a human system. So I have great respect on that side. However, I don't count on them that they're going to get everything done, and I don't take it for granted, and I'll defer to their knowledge, but I want to be active in making decisions. So don't be a passenger. If you're in tough, I'm suggesting, be respectful of your healthcare providers. They are expert. They do care. And, we can't just be grabbing at hocus pocus out there, but there are a lot of healthy inputs we can do to help the process. And, what can we do to help the process and be active in decisions made for you and who's on your team, et cetera? One, because you want to own the process and quarterback it and help steer the ship and just at least be an active participant doing positive things for yourself. Don't just be a passenger in there. And one of the power of that is if you're active in it, you're going to believe in it more. And if you believe in it more and understand what's going on, then you're going to have more hope. And when you have hope and belief, your body responds. And so that's a great place to point your compass.
100%. I love that. It's a lot talking about too, about, just the idea of unrealistic optimism versus realistic optimism. In unrealistic optimism, more so described as just inherently believing everything is just going to work out, and realistic optimism is contrary to that in the sense that you believe in your own ability to create the future you want. Right. And so what you're talking about there is not being a passenger and to create those steps and to take action and to take charge, to believe in your own ability to create change in your circumstance. I love that.
That's really well said. It's great. Great tool. Great tool. Yes.
Well, we're running short on time, Peter, and I can't thank you enough. I want to hear a bit about how you are now thriving, how cancer has empowered you to thrive more alive than ever before.
Well, great question. And I won't consume any of the time for the answer on details, except, most people in our situations, you do carry things forward, whether it's physical challenges and so on that remain from that battle and assault and so on. But having said that, how I'm doing now has been a process, mindset, emotion, physical health. But I feel sort of my right brain, that's social emotional skills, your perception of the world, your creativity, etc. Is flourishing higher than ever.
That's
And
beautiful.
so I certainly wake up and am grateful for this day. I was a little bit oriented in that way anyway, but my thrive now is, trying to live an active lifestyle. I get out in nature every day and eat healthy for myself. I'm not a purist in that way. If you want to have a beer and a pizza, I'm in. But 90% of the time, I'm eating things that I think fuel my health and my mindset. And, really, there's been other, as we see, I've been to Russia about 10 times, lecturing and consulting and working with sport there. There's so many great people in Russia. So I'm a fan of the Russian people. I'm not a fan of the government and what
Yeah.
they're doing in Ukraine. But that's another devastating chaos that's probably hard on our soul. COVID
Yeah.
disruption. It's been a very difficult time and a lot of change. So going through all this, I think you and I are prepared to navigate those things. But how I feel now is physically great, mentally and mindset strong. I've got such depth of strength, social, emotional skills, and perception setting me there. And I'm really focused on the thrive part now. It's up to me to succeed or fail or to do it or not, but I'm focused on creating a really good life chapter now.
You're
Aiming to show up my best for people. My goal is to leave each person and the moment that I experience them in, leave each person and moment better than when I showed up to it. To leave
100%.
each moment and person better than when I showed up. That's you on here. That's people in my life every day. That's someone at the coffee shop that I have 15 seconds with. How do we leave them better in that moment, better than when we showed up? And if you think of it the other way, well, why would you leave someone worse? It's like those micro moments. And then the big moment, my goal on Thrive, I'm so inspired and motivated and ready. I understand life is short, not just from cancer, but also we have a certain window. And every year you get older, the window closes a little bit if you're blessed with the longest life. And I really want to seize the day, the carpe diem, and create a great chapter where I can be of service, impact more people, but really have enriching personal experiences in life as well. So we see the world around us. There's some challenges with that, psychologically, emotionally, dealing with the news and any limitations we might have on our mobility, etc. It doesn't matter. Whatever the situation is, whatever the world is, our opportunity remains today and within all of that to create a great day, create a great chapter. And I'm ready. And I'm looking forward. I like to say, believe in what's possible. There's no limits to what you can achieve. And to fail high would be my ending part. Failing high means if I aim for here, I might reach it, but I won't reach any higher. But if I aim for here, I might fail, but that pulls me to here. So I'm aiming high with the willingness to fail high and see what kind of life adventure that takes me on. So that's thank you so much for inviting me on for this discussion and conversation today. And I hope some of your listeners have benefited. I know I have from the parts listening to you.
Well, gosh, I think everyone is just going to find this to be an incredibly inspirational segment of our show. And I personally look forward to many more conversations with you. I have really appreciated your time. I am left uplifted and inspired. And I thank you for that. And I'm sure our listeners tune into these key lessons, this act of becoming. Don't be a passenger, right? See yourself as your future self. Have that as your inspirational role model. Don't be a passenger in your world. Take charge, take control. All the best, riders and thrivers. Thank you again, Peter. You're the best.
Thank you. Let's create a great day. All right. Peace.
All the best, risers and thrivers. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the show 2 weeks today. All the best.